The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, I'm Carl Seidel, host of The People's View. The show is sponsored by the Nashua City Republican Committee, and if you like to attend our meetings, they're the second Thursday of every month at 6:30 at the Crown Plaza. And if you want to find out more about our organization, you can go to nashuagop.org to see our website and learn about the events that we have.
Welcome to The People's View.
Hello, and help me welcome Don Lebrun, who's a state legislator, but is also running for alderman of Ward 5.
That's correct.
Well, Don, you served one term as an alderman. How do you like it? You go and run again?
I love it. I love every minute of it. I love working for the people.
Okay.
And that's basically what it's all about.
Well, what do you think is going to be your objective for the coming 2 years?
The coming 2 years, I hope, is a lot more of what this previous 2 years has been, because we have accomplished more. And I think I can say this positively. We have accomplished more in Ward 5 in the last 2 years than we had in the previous 20 years.
Really? What? Some examples?
Some examples are we've gotten many roads paved. Probably, I would say probably maybe 2.5 miles of road paved just in Ward 5.
Oh.
We have gotten storm drains that have been in disrepair for years and years. We've gotten them totally replaced or refurbished, whatever the case may be. I couldn't even count the numbers of potholes that we've taken care of, and sinkholes, and just anything whatsoever that people call me about, we have gotten taken care of.
Oh, good.
And I'm really proud of what we've accomplished. We've gotten a lot of crossing, whatever they call them, crossing, street crossings put in, and we've got the flashing warning lights and everything all installed. We've gotten down on Gilson Road. There was always hunting allowed down there. We've gotten a lot of no hunting signs put up because when people were hunting, it was fine when there were no developments down there.
Right.
But now it's all developed, and people were literally hearing and feeling pellets in their yard.
Oh, really?
So
oh, boy.
we got
you have to worry about that.
We got no hunting signs put up down there. I mean, some people didn't like the idea of obviously hunters.
Right.
Didn't like the idea, but we've got to protect the residential area as well. So sometimes, you do things sometimes, and you have to call the people back and say, we just can't do this. It's just not practical. So you can't always call back with a positive result.
Well, I'm glad to hear all the good news about your ward, but what about the city as a whole? What do you think is going to be their big problem? There's a lot of stuff in the newspaper that you can...
Yeah, we've got the riverfront renovation going on. Of course, the Performing Arts Center is somewhat controversial right now. There's a lot of work that has to be done in the city. There's a lot of infrastructure. Last night, in the rain, I left City Hall. I could not believe the amount of drains in Nashua, in downtown Nashua, that are simply clogged.
Oh, really?
The water was so deep that I felt like I was running into a wall when I hit the water. I did not realize that there were that many clogged drains down there. So there's a lot of infrastructure that has to be taken care of in downtown Nashua.
Is it just because the leaves are falling, or is
no,
it
no, this had nothing to do with leaves.
Really?
No.
Okay.
All along West Hollis, and part of East Hollis, as far as that goes, because I had to go down through there. But all along there's just one drain after another, almost every intersection, that the water is just almost out to the middle of the road. And there's just a lot of work needs to be done down there. There's still a lot of lighting that needs to be taken care of. The parking garages, they need better lighting in the parking garages. I don't think people have to be afraid to go into the parking garages. Some people you hear say that they don't feel they're secure. I think they're secure, but I think they need to be better lighted.
Is there any effort to try to bring in some other kind of lighting that's either less expensive?
Well, we've done a lot of LED lighting. Yeah, all along the Broad Street Parkway and all that. And then on Main Street, we've changed over to more efficient lighting. Yeah.
Okay, and but the parking lots, are they trying to do anything with those?
Not at this time, but it's something that we have to look into.
Okay.
Especially if a performing arts center were to go downtown, not saying that it will, but if it were, that would be integral to access to the performing arts center.
One of the things that did come up just this last week is they auctioned off that Daniel Webster College and everything.
Yeah.
And the town didn't really get involved in it. Do you have any opinion?
The town didn't want to get involved in it, and I was surprised that the auction price was only 50% of the assessed value.
Right. So that means your taxes come down
Well,
on that.
well, you know,
piece of property.
the other side of that is if the city had bought it, then we would have lost that property tax.
Right.
As it is now, we're still going to get that property tax. So, you know, there's always a good side and a bad side to everything.
Well, some of it went to the SNHU.
Yeah, well, they bought the buildings and the tower, I believe it is,
Right,
inside the fence of the airport.
Right.
But this other conglomerate or whatever bought the buildings on the campus.
Mm-hmm.
That's all outside the
Yeah.
airport fence.
So what are the big problems that you see coming up? I mean, right now we've had, well, I guess it's still ongoing, an argument about spending and whether or not you're
still
hitting this spending cap.
Yeah, there's still 2 ongoing lawsuits.
Right.
You know, depends on which way you read the newspaper as to what's happening with that. Right now, it's the judge is going to make a ruling on it. The city, the mayor in particular, wants has filed a right to know more or less to find out who the donors are for the litigants. You know, there's not a whole lot you can say about it right now because it's still in the courts and it's still undetermined.
Well, I know he's quite anxious to get that solved. He keeps making like there's going to be 900 people laid off or something if he
Well,
$9
you know,
million budget doesn't
he
go
has
through.
been known to exaggerate his numbers a little
bit.
I don't see 1,000. I think the number I read was 1,000 police and firemen.
Right.
I'm not sure we have 1,000 police and firemen in this city.
A little exaggeration.
Little bit.
I'm not sure
But
why.
you know, he's going to make his point. I mean, we all have to make our case.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's the way he makes his case. When he does it, we have to put his nose to the firestone and say, you know, prove your numbers.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be hard. I hope he hasn't hired any people. Anyway, you has talked about a lot of improvements in the infrastructure. Is there any other major project that you're looking at? I mean, they have a couple of sites that there's some questionable projects that I guess you'd say that
Well,
are
there was
pending.
the Burke Street property.
Yeah.
And that basically is on hold. There's not going to be any raising or renovation there. It just turned out to be too costly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last price I heard was something in the neighborhood of $50 to $55 million.
Yeah.
The
Well,
city
that's-
can't afford that kind of money right now.
That's on top of what the education want. for their
That's right. They
schools,
want
too.
another $50 million for Elm Street
Right.
and Mount Pleasant.
So, what did that? Well, I guess that's not really within your jurisdiction, but I guess they are thinking of actually closing one of the schools.
That's talk. That's all it is.
It is?
It's not really serious discussion right now, but it has been mentioned that maybe that would be the way to go.
Well, that would eliminate a few $1 million in expenses.
That it would. But
Maybe
it
they
would
could
also
sell that.
create other problems with what do you do with the students?
Well, I guess that they must have an idea where they'll put them.
Well, that's the thing, that they would have to disperse them into
Oh, yeah.
different areas, different schools, which means additional bus service, all sorts of things. So, you know, every solution sometimes brings up another problem.
Right.
Every problem sometimes helps with a solution.
Well, looking for different things that to keep you busy, because you've been busy. I don't know how you handle a job up in Concord as well as the job here in Nashua. How's it been over the last year?
It's been fine. I have no problem. I have no problem.
How much miles you put on the car?
I've put about 15,000 on my car in the last 12 months.
Wow.
And that's just back and forth to Concord, to the city, to the county, just doing work within the neighborhood. I mean, when I respond to my constituents, I not only respond to them by email or by telephone, I'll actually go out physically and look at what they're trying to tell me so that I can better tell the people that I contact exactly what the problem is.
So you really go out and investigate the situation, so you have another eye on it. And
absolutely.
Like that. Have you worked with the different departments directly, or do you have to go through the mayor?
No, I work with each department head directly. That's the only way I will do it. There's no reason for me to go through one office in order to get to another when I can get to that office personally. And I've got a good relationship. I absolutely fabulous relationship with every department head I've dealt with.
Oh, that's
whether it be Department of Recreation and Parks, Public Works, Traffic, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else doing that, something like that.
I have a great relationship with them, and I intend to keep that relationship. I treat them with respect, and they treat me with respect.
Good. Well, that's the way to get the job done.
That's what it's all about, making constituents happy.
Yeah. Well, what do you see in the longer term now? There's a whole bunch of projects that are being weighed for expense, time, whether they're useful or not. I mean, one of the situations with the rail thing has to do with...
Which I understand you're going to be named to that committee. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
You heard it from me.
Well, that's nice. Okay. That'll be interesting. But the situation might change, of course, if Amazon comes in, but they would change a whole bunch. I think the state's a good thing for it, but I don't see it's having a real chance at it. You?
You and I have discussed this before. Just bringing rail into Nashua and up to Bedford is just not the total answer. If we can't some way encompass the state and make it useful to the state as a whole, it's really not serving much of a purpose. I think there's a lot of benefits to the rail coming in, but it's got to be a complete statewide benefit.
One of the suggestions that I've talked to the mayor about is tying it in with a bus situation, which allows people to get to these work areas.
Right.
These different areas that are up in Londonderry or right here in Nashua up on the hill.
And that's exactly what we have to do. We have to have a network that brings people into the rail, because if people drive, say somebody drives from Keene to Nashua, they might as well drive to Lowell and catch the train in Lowell.
That's right.
Why catch it in Nashua and transfer in Lowell? Just drive to Lowell. And that's one of the problems. That's something that has to be worked out.
Well, I think that's true. In fact, I'd like to see some kind of a better road from east to west that goes through Nashua.
Yes.
And it would benefit not only Nashua and New Hampshire, it would benefit the upper part of Massachusetts.
But you've also got people up north of New Hampshire.
That's right.
And, it's a long drive down. Some people don't realize how far it is to the north end of New Hampshire. That's a haul.
And I'm surprised how far people will travel for a good job. I worked for a company in Billerica, Massachusetts, and we had people coming in from Maine. And that really...
Every morning when I go to Concord, going north, the traffic is bumper to bumper coming south. They don't all get off at exit 1 for BAE. Some of them just continue right on down Route 3.
That's right. Well, they go all the way
right out of the
there.
state.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things Massachusetts might be worried about. They don't distribute that. I mean, you have 2 trains going down there, 2 tracks, I should say, and you have one coming from the west, but you need somebody to go around in a circle, you know.
That's right.
You know, I've been to Japan. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go.
Well, I've been to China.
Okay.
And
well,
the
China's
subway
a little bit
system
different.
the subway system in China is absolutely fabulous.
Do they have the same thing where they have spokes and circles?
Yes.
Which I think something is that I don't see many places in the United States.
And everything is color-coded in China.
Yeah.
Wherever you want to go, you just pick your color, and the train is that color.
You know, you were talking about the Riverwalk and what they're doing to improve that. I think that's a good thing. That you can do quite a lot for a little bit of money, and working with companies or businesses that want to locate along there.
Right. There's been a lot done, and there's a lot more planned.
Right.
The Planning Commission has some really nice plans for downtown, for that area.
The Riverwalk would be a nice attraction in here. And I was just recently down in San Antonio. And over the last, I think my last visit was almost 20 years ago. And it has grown quite a bit. But they are now using the rail and the roads so that the buses can pick you up at a rail stop and, you know, do the circle around the town.
Yeah.
And I think that's
and that's a lot of what we need to do. We need to find out what others are doing, and see if we can incorporate that here. Find places that have already spent the money to find the best way of doing things, and if it's working for them, then we can do it for less money. Obviously, because we don't have to do that research.
They do move a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I was surprised how well organized it is, but you're right. It's the planning, it's the long-term research, and what different types of you know, buses that run on gas or something like that. Not gasoline, but
well, we purchased 2 buses here in Nashua, 2 diesel buses.
So
and we're looking to change over and get away from the gasoline.
Yeah.
Operated.
Well, is that liquid gas?
Yeah, liquid gas. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things that we should be looking forward there. You think that is there anything that we're lacking right now that we ought to look to see how to improve?
Well, you know, the biggest thing on everyone's mind right now, in fact, this week has been designated drug-free week. The biggest problem right now throughout the country, throughout New Hampshire, is the opioid crisis. My fear is that we have programs coming forward to combat the opioid crisis, but without a lot of thought, we give money to different programs. We don't get data back telling us whether the program's working or not. We have to get data back. We can't just be putting out money.
Right.
We've got to make sure that money is being utilized properly, and that we're getting the best bang for the buck. I mean, this is a huge, huge crisis, and it's costing us millions of dollars.
Definitely, and I agree with you that you have to evaluate what you're doing periodically.
We have one program, the Safe Station program, that goes through the fire department.
Right.
Every month they come back with data on how many people have come in, what they have done, how they have treated them, where they have sent them to, what the recovery rate is, all of that. That's the only program that we're getting sufficient data back on.
What would you like to see? What other programs?
I would like to see monthly reports, just as the Safe Station's doing.
Right.
Monthly reports come to the Board of Aldermen as to what progress they have made and how they have utilized the money we've appropriated and what they need going forward.
So are these departments or are these nonprofit organizations?
Some of them are nonprofits, but nevertheless, regardless of where you allot your money, you have a right to know whether that program is working or not. Why did we give you that money? What have you done with it? And what is the plan going forward?
I guess my question would be, what does your contract with them say? Isn't it the contract?
In a lot of cases, whether it be in the state or the city, in a lot of cases, we just appropriate money. Without a whole lot of knowledge as to what's going to be done with it.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
guess
I
that,
made the statement a couple of weeks ago at one of the aldermanic meetings,
Well.
and I told the mayor straight out, the taxpayers are maxed out, and we're not being accountable.
Right.
We've got to be more accountable for what we're doing with the taxpayers' money.
No, I agree with you there, and I know
We're supposedly
we
the
both
stewards
talked
of
about it
the
on the
coffers,
on
you
the
know?
state, so it's
Yeah.
just as bad here in the city.
It's no different in the city, no
Yeah.
different in the county, no different in the state.
It's a way of handling things, you know. I mean, how do you just throw money at it, or do you evaluate it and get the best bang for
My
the buck?
fear is in a lot of cases, we're giving money and not ever finding out how that money's being used.
Well, I
The
guess
SATCO program with the corrections.
yeah.
We're not getting data back, sufficient data back on that. We appropriated $335,000, I believe it was, a year and a half ago. And all I ever hear is, well, the program is getting off the ground. You know, well, by now it should be more than off the ground. It should be flying high.
That's right. Dumbo can't take off, I guess.
He can flap his ears, but he's not leaving the ground.
Well, Don, you planning on going off with some of your other chores too, or are you just going to focus on your aldermanic?
Right now, my focus is mainly on the aldermanic campaign.
Okay.
As you know, the election's coming up on November 7th.
Right.
And, you know, I'm kind of campaigning on my record. I'm proud of my record, and I'm campaigning on my record.
Well, you've done
There's
an
only
awful
one
lot.
thing I'm not proud
Oh,
of,
what?
and I don't even like speaking about it. And that's the amount of time that it's taking to get West Hollis Street, right out here at Riverside Drive, straightened out. We're making headway, but every time we make a change, we have to wait until to see how the change works out. We can't just jump at it and say, oh, I don't think this is going to work the day after we decide to do it.
Oh,
So it's one step at a time, but little by little we're getting there.
the steps are several weeks long.
The steps are several weeks long. It took a long time just to get recognition for the charter school as being a school zone. It took a long time just to get school zone signs posted out there. The center lane, the turn lane, was being used as a passing zone.
Yeah.
All the time being used as a passing zone. It took a couple of months to get signs that that's not a passing zone. The arrows on the street, the length of the solid line from Ledgewood Hills up to Riverside, things like that, they seem minor, but they're not minor at all. Each one is a step that has to be looked at and evaluated and either done away with or continued.
Is that just bureaucracy, or is it really necessary?
No, it's necessary. I mean, when you make a change like that in a traffic pattern, people have got to have a chance to get used to that traffic pattern, that travel that road every day. I travel it at least 4, maybe 6 times a day. And I see different things, which give me ideas as to what to present that we may be able to do. But we have to continually be looking at it and doing one thing at a time and evaluating that one thing before we go on to try to do something else. If you make 3 or 4 changes at one time, people are not going to know where to go. They're going to find a different route.
Well, I don't know how you keep up with all of it, Don, but good luck on that. And
It's all about enjoying what you're doing,
well, that's one of the things.
feeling that you're doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and feeling that you're helping the people who contact you and tell you they have a problem. And if you can go to bed at night feeling like you've done that throughout the entire day, then the next day is a snap. You get up and you feel good. And you just continue on.
I think that you sound like you're enjoying your job.
I absolutely do.
And that makes you more effective. I know that. And knowing what you've been doing up in Concord, I'm sure that you're going to be continuing to do good stuff right here and there.
I hope so. I'm just asking my constituents to give me a chance to continue on. Get out, vote for me on November 7th, and I will continue on working for you every single day.
How do they contact you, Don?
They can contact me at actually all my information is totally public. I'm as transparent as it gets. My email is out there, my phone number's out there, my address is out there. They can send me a carrier pigeon if they want to, and I'll get it. But people have had no trouble getting in touch with me.
Okay.
They call me on the phone, they email me, they stop me on the street. You know, I'm just out there.
Okay.
I'm always available,
Okay.
always.
Well, Don, we're going to have you back after the election and find out how all these things are going, and maybe I'll see you on the commission.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you'll be appointed probably within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Carl. Always appreciate it.
Okay.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.